All right, are we ready for a little bit of educational weirdness? Because that's what we got in store. Thanks for being here, folks. I hope you're enjoying the State Fair. My name is Eric Meyer. I run a nonprofit called Generation Atomic that advocates for nuclear power as part of the climate solution. But today, we are going to take a tour through time, starting back at the very beginning, the earliest moment here, the Big Bang. 13.8 billion years. This is gonna be a long presentation, right? It won't be, I promise. So 13.8 billion years ago, all of us started our journeys here as star stuff. And we've all heard of that, but there were some other important parts throughout the history of our universe, like supernovas and neutron star mergers. I'm gonna sing a little bit about that. There, out in the cosmos, two neutron stars spinning, dancing together for millions of years. The stars as their witness in this cosmic ballet, drawing nearer and near, drawing nearer and near. Among the densest stars of them all, Mount Everest in just a spoonful, following a path to collision, as many stars have before. And when this wondrous collision occurs, the elements are born. Uranium, forged in ancient stars, helps heat our planet, creating convective currents that move molten magnets around. A planetary generator, silent and sure, keeping our atmosphere strong, keeping our atmosphere strong. These things and many more made their way to our planet's core. Without these gifts from above, we'd have no planet to love. And if we use these wonderful gifts, we can end all suffering. And so it is written, and so it must be, in the cosmic dance of the universe, that all of us, we are made of stars, and by stars we shall remain. Yeah, thank you. If you caught some of those lyrics, you might have been like, what? What is he talking about? To be a little more specific, the merger of neutron stars, which neutron stars are like almost black holes, but not quite, super dense things, a teaspoon of which weighs as much as Mount Everest, for real. These stars in binary orbit with each other, colliding, is how scientists recently discovered we have everything on the periodic table above iron. And one of those things, very important, is uranium, because the uranium that is in the core of our planet, along with some other radioactive elements, helps keep our planet warm. And this warmth stirs up the molten core of our planet and makes a giant magnetic field around it that prevents the sun from just stripping away our atmosphere. So amazingly, we're lucky that we have that in our core. Mars, not so lucky, didn't have it. And so though Mars had liquid water millions of years ago, they didn't have that shield and they lost their atmosphere. But we've traveled now billions of years, and now we are gonna come a little more recently to about 10,000 years ago on these lands where Native Americans, the Dakota, the Ojibwe, were here in the heart of Minnesota, where lakes and forests, and they knew fire. This is about energy, so fire. They knew it was a tool, a companion, but a life shaper, a life saver. And if you'd step into a Dakota home, you'd see a fire pit at the center, but not just any fire pit. There'd be rocks underneath the floor, keeping it warm, transferring that heat so they could stay warm through these brutal Minnesota winters. And the Dakota are kind of innovated in how they made their fires. So they would dig a hole and then dig another hole, like diagonally down, to feed clean air. And as a result, you get this like smokeless fires that you can cook over. And the U.S. military actually teaches this Dakota fire as a survival technique. It's pretty nifty. So we will fast forward again to about 9,000 years later or so, when Minnesota had European settlers logging and iron mining. So Minnesota, not just the land of 10,000 lakes, also a land of sprawling forests. In the late 1800s, over half of the state was covered with trees, about 32 million acres of forest. These days it's about 17 and a half. We got pine, spruce, birch, and they would shape our state and our country, this logging industry. Just imagine in the 1850s with steamboats and railroads were the cutting edge tech, and supercharge our logging industry. We had the Mississippi River, so we could ship stuff much easily than a lot of other places that might have had trees. And this timber didn't just build homes, it built our country. And we're talking about the wood that made the White House, the U.S. Capitol, even the Brooklyn Bridge. But of course, not all of the trees met that glamorous fate. About a third were used as firewood to stay warm, to also power processes to make things. And double-edged sword. We have all this industry, these jobs, life is getting better, but we have a lot of environmental destruction as a consequence. And keeping that trend going up in the Iron Range, we got this region rich in iron, but poor in the coke needed for steel production. And some of you might be thinking, wait, Coca-Cola is needed for steel production? How did I not know that? They really have that market cornered on steel production, but no. Coke is actually a form of coal that's like baked in an oxygen-free oven, which makes it super pure, and you need it to make steel, essentially. We didn't have any coal in Minnesota, so we were shipping all of our ore away and a lot of the value that came with it, until some innovators in our state said, wait a second, let's import the coal here, and then we can actually make steel in Minnesota rather than other states. And it was about this time we started fueling our war effort. Minnesota Steel helped build tanks and airplanes in World War II. But again, the theme, all of this progress came at a cost, an environmental cost, acid rain, air pollution, and water quality issues, right? So we constantly see this theme, progress combines with environmental harm. Can we separate those two? Is a question we're still asking ourselves today. We finally started to clean our power up in the 70s. We built 2 nuclear power plants here. That one's called Monticello. It's up sort of north of St. Cloud-ish, right next to a gigantic coal plant. And it's fun to drive by one and see this just plume of disgusting black smoke, brown smoke, and then you got the nuclear plants just making clouds. And then we built another one a few years later called Prairie Island down in the Red Wing area. I've been there to tour it. It's a nice facility. And both those plants together made the vast majority of all the low carbon energy in our state until we finally started building some wind in the early 90s. Yeah, so there's an atom. And yeah, mid-90s. I'm from the Buffalo Ridge. Anybody know where the Buffalo Ridge is in Minnesota? It's that hand there, yeah? Southwestern Minnesota, kind of Pipestone, Marshall-ish. Yeah. And it's sometimes called the Saudi Arabia of wind energy because it's where the glaciers ran out of steam and made these massive plateaus of silts, which is fantastic farmland, and also up a little higher, great for wind speeds. Yeah. So we got our start on decarbonizing, making clean power, but will we get all the way there when fossil fuels are so easy to use and so tempting? And now I'd like to introduce a different character to this presentation. I'll be playing the role of fossil fuels for the next 2.5 minutes with this song. All right, here we go. When you heat your home, you burn me up. When you drive your car, up I go in flames. Every facet of your modern life depends on me. That's my claim to fame. How does it feel to be choking on the air that's black and smoky? You could change, but you probably won't. Wind and sun are so alluring, but alone won't do the trick. Sun goes down, wind stops blowing, and when they do, I'll make you sick. Digging further down into the depths of your land and sea, drinking every drop, though this planet may be here for years and millions more, you, my friends, may not. 1 billion years of evolution ended by self-execution. You could change, but you probably won't. Marching forth like loyal lemmings, ever closer to the cliff. Soon you'll find yourselves free falling, unless in your mind you flip a switch. Thank you. It's fun. Our state fair is a great state fair. Oh man. Okay, so that brings us to the present. 2023. Here we are. And what does our electricity mix look like? We've built a lot of clean power over the years. Almost about half, little over half clean between nuclear, wind, solar, a little bit of hydro. So that's good. We got a ways to go. And our legislature recognized that challenge. And in January, they passed a law to get us to 100% clean power by 2040, which is pretty exciting. So go legislature, seeing the problem, setting a goalpost, very aggressive target. Hope we can make it. But how will we get there? How will we get there? We have all of these always-on, reliable sources from fossil fuels. Can we replace them with power sources that depend on the weather in Minnesota, where if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes? That's an open question. Obviously, being the founder of a nonprofit called Generation Atomic, I think nuclear has an important role to play here. And unfortunately, it's illegal to build new nuclear. So hopefully we can see some changes in thinking on that in the next couple of years. But let's let's be happy, because if we do it, we're going to have clean power forever. Clean power forever within our grasp. Wind, nuclear, solar, up to the test. Hydro, geothermal too. Clean power forever. No CO2. When we first started to burn fossil fuels, no one was worried about CO2. No one could have ever guessed the cost of all this progress. A warming world we must address at last. Clean power forever within our grasp. Talking wind, nuclear, solar, up to the test. Yes, they are. Hydro, geothermal too. Clean power forever. No CO2. When wind is blowing, when the sun is shining, there is no need for all that strip mining. But when it is calm, the sun has gone away, hydro and nuclear power are here to save the day. Clean power forever within our grasp. Wind, nuclear, solar, up to the test. Talking hydro and geothermal too. Clean power forever. No CO2. Clean power forever. We must pursue. Clean power forever. The earth fading new. Clean power forever. No CO2. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so 2040, what's it gonna look like 2040 and beyond? You know, we might not be able to tell with our crystal balls, but one thing we do know is that we need to keep dreaming that impossible dream and fighting to make it a reality. And that's what we're doing here in the Eco Pavillion. And that's what many of you are doing day in and day out. That's what you're doing by being here and caring about this. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. And I'll sing us one more song, and I hope you enjoy the fair. And here's our last one. Yeah. Yes. Yep. We can stop burning things using fire. It's the impossible dream. We can do it. There it is. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave do not go, to right the unrightable wrong, love, pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary to reach the unreachable star. This is our quest to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for what's right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if we'll only be true to this glorious quest, that our hearts will lie peaceful and calm when we're laid to our rest, and the world will be better for this, that all of us, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with our last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars. I think I set a car off. Thank you so much, everybody. If anybody has questions about nuclear energy, I'd love to hear them, and I have lots of answers. We didn't talk about it too much because this is more about all energy, but anybody got any? We got a few minutes. Yes, ma'am?
A couple weeks ago, I was down in Pipestone.
Okay. A couple weeks ago, she was in Pipestone.
And I was looking, for the
Sorry. Oh, yeah. That is it. So she mentioned she saw a lot of wind turbines that weren't spinning. There could be a few reasons. One could be just a calm day. That happens. Down there, those are a little rare. So one of the issues is over time, you got to do a lot of maintenance, and they call it repowering. And anything that moves a lot is going to break. It happens. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool. I have some friends that work in that industry, so they're always complaining about, stuff keeps breaking, gotta go fix it. Usually it's when it's like 30 below in the winter, they complain about it though. Yeah, any other questions? Got one back here. Yeah. Is there?
Technologically speaking, how close are we to the commercialization of molten salt or molten sodium reactors?
Hell yeah, I love that question because that's what got me interested in nuclear, is the advanced reactors that can recycle nuclear waste. Very cool. It can make high temperatures, so you can decarbonize making cement and carbon neutral synthetic fuels. Very exciting stuff. How close we are commercially. In the US, we have something called the Advanced Reactor Demonstration Project, and a couple companies got $2 billion. One of them is owned by Bill Gates, you might have heard of them, called TerraPower, a natrium reactor. And they are right now doing the early site work to replace a coal plant in Wyoming with their fancy reactor. This reactor doesn't use water as a coolant. It uses liquid sodium, which means it can go a lot hotter and can decarbonize some of those really hard to get to parts of our energy usage. It's also got this cool molten salt heat battery, which means that if the wind's blowing and there's too much energy and they don't need all the nuclear energy from the plant, they can heat up this big vat of salt, and then when they need the energy later, they can tap into that vat and have that spin a turbine. So it helps balance out wind and solar really nicely. It's pretty cool. There's also a company in Denmark called Seaboard, and they're building they just signed a deal with a shipyard in South Korea to build a molten salt reactor on a boat. so they can send it around the world, make it in a shipyard, which shipyard construction's really efficient, and then park it outside of places that need the power and run a power cord. So it's really handy. They already do that with some like natural gas and oil ships, but this would be a new thing for nuclear. It's pretty cool. Yeah, great question. Anybody else have one? There are not currently plans to build new nuclear in Minnesota, as it is illegal to do so. I did have a chance to ask the head of Xcel Energy, Chris Clark, about this at a conference recently, and his response was, well, if they don't lift the moratorium in Minnesota, we'll just build it in Wisconsin or North Dakota and send it over the border. I'd personally rather have all of the tax benefits and jobs and all that stuff stay in Minnesota, but I guess that's an okay backup plan. Good question. But yeah, we are talking to legislators. There was actually a bill that passed out of the Senate this last session to lift the nuclear moratorium for smaller reactors, like less than 300 megawatts. So we're talking to legislators, and some of them are coming around, seeing that, hey, this could be a good thing, and we should at least have the option on the table so that like the Public Utilities Commission and Xcel and all the big, the people who really dig into the analytics and economics of it all can assess it with the other options and pick what's best for the state. Yeah, awesome. Great questions. Amazing. Thanks everyone for being here. You guys are a great audience, and yeah, thanks for letting me sing a little bit. It's fun.